Hey everyone, welcome to the BLIP podcast, where we are continuing our journey to build a successful insurance agency. Today, I get to interview Austin Moorhead with Conversion Kinks. Austin's been killing the automation game for a while now, and every time I talk with anybody about anything automation, his name comes up. He's definitely the guy you want to know when you run into any issues with your automation, or if you need someone to set it up for you. This episode is brought to you by our master insurance agency, Blue Lion Insurance Partners, or BLIP for short. We provide access to insurance companies, 100% commission, bonuses, support, software, and systems with no production requirements. And fitting with today's podcast theme, we also provide you with automation software for free. One of the biggest benefits our agents find with our offer is that you maintain full, true ownership. Find out more information at bluelioninsurancepartners.com. And without further delay, here's my conversation with Austin. All right, so we should be good to go. So I'll introduce Austin in a second, but right now, so we were talking, Austin, you and I were talking about some pictures you had on your Facebook profile. They must have been old because it sounds like this maybe is not current with motorcycle and the room full of guns and all that. Is that not anymore?
Yeah, they're kind of, I have some guns in the safe, and they're all kind of toy guns. I got a couple hunting guns, but yeah, don't come out. And I sold the sport bike, and I still have a Ducati, and it's the custom build. Dude. I still got a Duck, but then it, again, doesn't come out. I think I turned it on 4 months ago.
Oh, man. If I had a Ducati out here, I'd ride that thing all the time.
Yeah, I'll send it to you. $5,000, it's yours. It's worth a lot more than that.
You said it was custom? You had a custom build? Or you customized it?
No, I customized it. It was like a stock 2009 Monster that I had painted, and I put some rims on it,
Oh, yeah.
Some flashy
what size
chrome.
Is it?
1100S. Yeah. Nice, it's actually not as big as you think it is. 1100, you think this thing's got a scream. And it can go from like a stop sign. You can go straight up to 12 o'clock in first gear. So it has torque.
Yeah.
But the top end isn't great.
Oh, I had an R6 when I was 22, 21.
Sure.
Maybe.
Didn't
last long.
Did you drop it?
I did drop it once, but then funny story, it got stolen. And at the time I didn't have insurance on it. How funny is that, right? So I was up in Washington and it got stolen. The one night I didn't put a wheel lock on it. I got a call 6 months later from the Las Vegas police. Somebody stole it, drove it all the way down there, and they made some modifications to it. Like they flipped the shifter, they changed the windshield or the windscreen, and they put some other stuff on it, and they painted some stuff. Anyway, it was way cooler when I got it back.
You got it back?
I did, yeah. So 6 months later, they're like, well, they called me and they're like, well, we see your bike. We can go pick it up for you. You can come down here and get it. I was like, well, why don't you just grab it? So then I flew down, rented a U-Haul, put it in the back, and drove it back. So yeah, I got it back.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah. I love that bike. One thing though sorry, this is totally off topic, but one thing with street bikes, or like you probably find with your Ducati, is like you're bent over so much, and if you're wearing a helmet, you have to like keep your neck kind of kinked back, and it it gets uncomfortable after a while.
Yeah, my dad, he's into going on these long trips on his bike, and he's got cruisers and kind of a touring bikes that are kind of meant for it. But he'd always asked me and my brothers to come every year, and I did a few times. We would take like 8-hour trips out to Eastern Oregon, and we wouldn't take the highway. We wouldn't get there in 4 hours. The goal is to get there in 8. While doing 200 miles an hour. Yeah, so we just took every twisty road that you could imagine, and just that constant hunched over feel on those motorcycles, it's brutal.
It is.
Especially more than like an hour or something like that, and if you got like a tank bag on it and like something in the back, right, and you're trying to cruise in it, just not meant for it.
Yeah, my next bike's definitely going to be a cruiser.
Yeah.
But
Like a Harley or like a
probably,
tour?
yeah, probably get a Harley. The tour, it's too old manish for me. I can't do it yet. You know,
Actually,
I gotta
that's
have
where I'm
some
at
style.
next.
You're going for a cruiser,
I think,
Goldwing?
yeah, maybe not Goldwing, but more like those Kawasaki. I think they're like 1300s or 1400s. Those things whine
Oh
a
yeah,
lot.
yeah, yeah. They do.
And they're cheap.
Yeah,
And you can get a lot of bike for 10 grand on those touring bikes. So
yeah, true.
yeah.
Well, I guess we should jump into it. But
Okay.
before we do, huge shout out to all of our insurance agent sisters and brothers at IAOA that are traveling down there right now. Not going to be there this year, unfortunately.
Oh,
I know, but I will be there. I will be there next year. Are you going?
I am actually. After this call, I gotta
Oh,
go
nice.
get my bag in my car and run to the airport.
Sweet.
So I'll say hi to
Well,
everybody for you when I get down there.
thank you. Yeah, a
Yeah,
lot of hugs and kisses, please.
I
Let
will
them
do
know
that.
it's from me.
Okay, make sure.
So, so, I'm Josh Berg. This is I'm interviewing or talking with Austin Moorhead. I said that right, Austin?
You did.
Awesome, nice, awesome. This is the BLIP podcast. So we are continuing our journey to build a successful insurance agency, and Austin is someone who definitely knows more about automation than I do. And so we're just going to be talking automation today. Austin owns an insurance agency, but also has another business called Conversion Kings. Austin, you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I originally started off at State Farm as an insurance agent, and most captive companies have got a ton of rules about what you can and can't do. And I don't know, that part of me was like, oh, what can't I do? Because that's what I want to go look at.
Right.
And I fell in love with the indie model of being able to kind of do what you want, inside the boundaries to some degree that the captive model doesn't support. And through that learning process, I decided to leave State Farm, open up an independent brokerage, and that was about 6 months ago. And at the exact same time, there was starting to become a demand for my knowledge around automations that upsprung a second company that me and my business partner, he does the lead generation for, and I do the automations for, and Conversion Kings. And so it's been officially open, I think, for 4 or 5 months now.
So tell me, like, with Conversion Kings specifically, what do you guys do? Like, what services are you actually providing?
Yeah, so we typically go after people who have existing Infusionsoft builds, and we want to find what their call patterns are, what their task patterns are that they use to interact with people on new acquisitions, and take those and integrate them into a phone where the user, the prospector, doesn't have to clear tasks. The phone can identify that a task is due, clear the task, and leave a note for you. I mean, those are the 3 things that you do that are required for every outbound call. So if you know you're going to do them, why don't you just have the system do it for you? So we do that for them. We find a way to kind of reduce, quadruple clicking for the same activity.
Gotcha.
That's the main focus now. We also do some active campaign work too. I like to, in the AC stuff, it's more for your referral partners. We want to get the builds that people typically ask for. They've got maybe 4 or 5 loan officers that they divide leads out to, and so we can help build out like a referral CRM that you work with your partners inside of AC.
Gotcha. So your kind of area of expertise is automation on mainly prospecting, new business, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I certainly would say that that's what I focus on is new client acquisition.
Gotcha.
We didn't try and reinvent the wheel on the renewal process. It's something you should do once a year. Birthday process once a year. Didn't try and reinvent the wheel on that. Honestly, I'm not reinventing the wheel either on prospecting. Everything that I've put into this, it's been through my training in the past. It's just now taking my classic captive insurance training and put it in new end tech is all it really is.
Gotcha. So, okay. So automation, let's get into it. So when someone uses the term automation, like give me like a general overview and maybe more specific, like what exactly is automation?
Automation is a series of events that happens inside your software that can move your contact through a system and potentially hitting them with content, It's typically content, emails, texts, or voicemails, or it will assign content to the internal staff to do some type of follow-up, right? So we're either going to be reaching out through the automations or be reaching in through the automations. And as an agency owner, your touch points and you can set them in stone, and then they always happen. So automations are really there to keep your settings permanent.
Gotcha. Cool. And so with starting off automation, so there's a I wouldn't say it's a debate. I think, most people are just have a preference one way or another. But so the two systems that I feel like people are running into or that are using or have a strong preference for are ActiveCampaign and Infusionsoft.
Yeah.
And so we use ActiveCampaign just because it's a little bit simpler, and I don't know that necessarily for what we use it for, we need more of a robust system, which seems like Infusionsoft is. But you want to give me a little breakdown of maybe which is better, which is are they for different types of people or people in different areas?
Yeah, I mean, the way I see it might not be the way that everybody sees it, but the way that I see AC versus Infusionsoft is AC is kind of your less than $2 million book, and Infusionsoft is kind of you got a book bigger than $2 million, roughly. I know that doesn't fit your guys' model, and you certainly don't have to make it be that way. But I think Infusionsoft gives you the ability to kind of manage a bigger playing field from a singular view on your dashboard in the pipeline. So their one pipeline widget for me is the one that it's like, oh man, that's a feature I wish AC would have. So in AC, you have to go look at everyone's individual pipelines one by one, and they're like stretched out like an accordion, really wide.
Right.
And you can't really get like a good view on them. And like, I just want to know the numbers per stage. I've got 10 stages. Just tell me, do I got 50 here, 20 there, 2 there?
Oh, I
see.
Then
click into them. And so the bigger the company gets, I don't want to individually have to go look at the users until there's a problem, but I just want to see the company stats. And so Infusionsoft allows you, I think, to get like a company stat just a little bit better.
Yeah.
And then it's the integrations, right? So what software connects to it that makes it attractive to you. And so for us, I think Infusionsoft has better integrations, specifically dialers, custom dialers with dispositioning. ActiveCampaign
and that's your sweet spot, right?
And that is our sweet spot. It is.
Yeah.
And ActiveCampaign does have integrated dialers, but they're not as integrated as the one that we have with Infusionsoft. And so we've tested them out. Like NectarDesk had a solution that we looked at 6-7 months ago. And you have to kind of like push the leads back and forth a little bit more than I wanted to push them back. I want the system to kind of just do it natively. And so ActiveCampaign doesn't have the integrations that we're looking for right now.
Gotcha.
And if you don't need those integrations, then ActiveCampaign actually in some aspects is more powerful than Infusionsoft. And so you can have 25 users on one account for a fraction of the cost that you could have 25 in Infusionsoft.
Yeah, that is a big deal, right? Like there's a pretty sizable price difference between the two.
Massive.
So when you say integrations, do you mean direct integrations, or do you mean integrations through Zapier or some other carrier or some other company that does that?
In this case, I do mean the direct integrations. And so through Zapier, right, was it 7,000? I don't even know what the count is at Zapier.
I don't know. It's crazy.
It's too much, right? If you can connect to Zapier, you can connect to a lot of things. But in this case, I'm talking about a direct integration where the CRM and the telephone talk in unison. So what happens in the CRM is happening in the phone at the exact same time.
Gotcha.
Specifically, like new lead enters the CRM. At the same time as it hits the CRM, it's in my telephone.
Gotcha.
And so like you hear that bong when a new lead comes in, and it's like, just hit next.
Yeah.
And it's like, there it is. And then when you get done with the call, we've got like 20 buttons that we can, there's a little drop down that pops up, and inside of it's got, the call outcomes. So did you exit this person? Did you close them? Did you send them a pre-MVR quote? Did you send them a post-MVR quote? You just hit those buttons and it moves them into the automations into their appropriate place. It assigns the task to the producers that sends the content out that you want to send out. And it's all from the clicking to the telephone. So it's really not the CRM that we're after, it's the telephone that we're after, and then what CRM supports it.
Gotcha. And so when you say clicking through the telephone, you're talking about it's a soft phone. So there is a display up on your monitor and you're physically like, or not physically, but like with your mouse, you're like clicking through it and you're able to click tasks or next or whatever that actually will then flow through to the system and either push that lead to the next stage or not or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the whole premise of why we went with Infusionsoft was for the telephone and the integrations, and right, and then
Gotcha.
you can hook it up to everything else. But if you take the integration off of it, like I was saying, there is some strengths to AC that you don't get in Infusionsoft. It's just a different, way of looking at things.
Gotcha.
What you
So
value.
we were just talking about Zapier and like Zapier being a substitute for basically a direct integration. Can you maybe go over Zapier and maybe not just Zapier, but what other companies do you know of that also do the same thing? So what is Zapier? What does it do? How does it work? And what other carriers do that too? Because I'm not really familiar with many other than Zapier.
I do know that there's somebody else out there that tries to behave like Zapier. I don't know the name of the company. We do use another middle party called Mocknick that connects Acuity, our calendar, to our CRM. We didn't like the integration through Zapier. We got a cleaner integration through Mocknick, and so we use a one-off. And
Okay.
and so when we're talking about with Zapier, I think a simpler way to describe it is the operator, right? We've got information here, and we want to get information here, and Zapier's in the middle.
Okay.
Right? Or we got information here and we have information here, here, and here, and Zapier's in the middle connecting to all three of those places.
Yeah.
And so I look at it as the operator.
So specifically, if you have information in your, so say a lead comes in somehow, right? So say somebody goes on your website and says, "Hey, I want to get a quote for auto insurance or whatever." Like, what then? Like, what happens?
Yeah, so if they do that, it comes down, Zapier is going to connect it through the Gravity Forms into the CRM. It's going to pop up in the CRM as a tag, and it's going to travel through our auto communication that, depending on the time of day, they're going to get a specific response, an automatic reply.
Gotcha.
Hey, if it's outside of business hours, we'll say, hey, we're outside of business hours. Here's our calendar link. Go ahead and schedule at a time that we can reach out to you. And if they don't, we just, hit them up at 9 a.m. anyways. Yep, and so the producer is going to come in the next day. They're going to have some type of notification. Hey, you had a lead that came in last night.
Gotcha.
Please follow up on it. And then we can put them into a drip campaign where we do a call cadence where it's a series of on, off, on, off, on, off, on, off. And during that on, off, we're also dropping voicemails and text messages that are appropriate to the lead source.
And so
that's what we do with the new leads.
Yeah, right. So what do you mean when you say on, off, on, off, on, off?
Yeah, it's the cadences that we build into the prospecting. And so, and maybe cadences isn't the correct term, but I've maybe just adapted from my time in the military. But, it's a series of like left, right, left, right, left, right. But in calling, it's I'm going to call you today, and then my off is the delay, and then I'm going to call you tomorrow, and then I have another off.
Oh, I see.
And then so that, right, you're in my dialer, you're out of my dialer, in my dialer, you're out of my dialer. And so I don't have to, once you pre-build your cadences, you just turn the dialer on. And you don't have to worry about who's in it because you built the cadence in the back.
Totally makes sense.
And so we run all leads through a cadence. Typically we're anywhere from like 2 to 5 calls in a cadence with, 1 to 3 text and voicemails, depending on what it is.
Okay. And so let me ask this. If somebody calls your office, they found your number online, they call your office, or in general, anybody that you work with, right? So they call the office phone number and, hey, can I get a quote on my insurance or whatever? Can you, talk to me about this? Do you then put that into a very similar sequence or the same one that you would if a lead came from a website or a Facebook lead or something like that? Or is it different?
No, yeah, all of our sequences are pretty unique to the lead source. It's a big deal that we keep the content and the communication of the follow-up from us in line with where they started.
Okay.
So, a Facebook lead, we're going to talk about Facebook. But someone who came from my website, I wouldn't bring Facebook up at all. It wouldn't be appropriate to the conversation.
Totally.
And in the text messaging could talk about Facebook too. And so you would want to make sure that the content for those was separate. And so we segregate through lead sources on the entry.
Okay.
When the filters go out about what content you're going to get ran through a lead source checker and to make sure that you're getting the appropriate stuff.
And so walk me through, like, I guess, slowly, like, so say a lead comes in online through somebody's webpage, right? So a lead, or let's talk about your agency, right? Somebody finds your website. I'm assuming you guys have a website. Somebody finds your website
Somewhere.
and they fill out whatever information. They say, I want somebody to reach out to me and give me a quote on my insurance. What happens? Like,
actually, I think right now on the website, that's probably a weakness in our agency. I think right now the website goes to Chris Lane Jill.
Oh, does it?
I think technically it does. I think he's emailing us those leads right now. So I don't know if it's fully automated. And I was like, hey, I need to get my Infusionsoft connected up to Gravity Forms and just take some time. But I do think that part of it actually is Chris. It's sitting in Chris's inbox right now.
So let's say a Facebook lead. So a Facebook lead comes in. Ricky, your business partner, generated a Facebook lead. Facebook lead comes in.
Yep.
What happens next? Like, what's the sequence? I'm guessing you probably have enough data that you've kind of,
So we're after an 80% contact rate. That's the first stage that we're trying to solve.
Okay.
Right? So it's contact, quote, close. So
you're just trying to get in touch. That's the very first thing.
Goal. 80 out of 100 people I want to talk to.
And what does that look like? So lead comes in, then what happens?
Yep. So we're going to go through some administrative tasks. We're going to label it correctly in the system. We're going to check it for its permission to text. And depending on how that switch is flipped, depends on which route it goes. And so we make sure that we've got good questions on the front end of the lead generation that allow us to communicate compliantly with our contacts in the future. And so it does the administrative labeling. So we're going to label the lead source when it comes in for ROI tracking purposes later. And then we're going to check for permission to text.
So the check for permission to text is a question that you guys have already asked them on the form they filled out. Like, can we text you?
100% of our leads have it on it, and I would say about 90 to 93% people say yes.
Yeah,
they prefer it. They just want to text. And so then it forks at this point, and you can go into the specific time of day text and email content, or you can go into the specific time of day just email content. And if it's during business hours, the text message is going to say, something very generic. Hey, hey, is this X? This is so-and-so with A&R Insurance Group. We just got your information. Can you provide us with X to get this quote started? And they'll type back X. And so, so the automation starts and they come back with, we usually ask like a zip code or something, just a layup question. We want to get them talking to us.
Yeah.
So, hey, what's your zip code?
Gotcha. So is the first thing, do you hit them with an automated text and an email and a phone call all at the same time, or do you space it out a little bit?
Yeah, it's auto text, auto email, no voicemail at this point. And then because, my producers could be in the middle of 50 things when this happens. Who knows what they're doing, right? So we don't want to put the pressure on the dialer yet. They could be in another list making phone calls for all I know. So those two things will happen automatically, and just those two things alone, we get like 50% response rate.
Wow.
And so then the producer is going to get a bong on his telephone. He's got a new text that came in, and he could start a text conversation with this one lead here as he's running his list dialing on the phone over there. And if they don't respond via text, the very next thing they go right to the dialer. So it'll auto sync to the dialer within a few minutes. Not even that. I think it's within 30 seconds of the lead being in the system, it's in the dialer automatically. And then it's going to be in the list that, your new lead list in our dialer. And all of that's happening in about 30 seconds. You got that first text, that first email, and you're in the dialer. So it just depends on where in the dialer you end up on the list and how big the list is. And so if the list is 200 plus, you're not going to get called that day. If it's under 100, you'll probably get called that day. It depends on how many people are working the list too. But if it's just one person and about 100 leads on a new lead list, you're not going to make it to 100 in a day because people are going to answer the phone. They're exclusive leads.
Yeah. Gotcha.
If it's like an age lead list, you can make like 350 calls a day on the dialer. But
because less people are going to answer, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yep. But the new exclusive Facebook leads, if you can make it to 100, that's impressive.
Yeah.
By the time you made it to 100, you get about 5 to 6 quotes out of it.
And so when you talk about the dialer, it's just automatically doing this, and you're just kind of waiting for it to connect with somebody. As soon as it does, it pops up. Here's their information. Here's where they're at in the process.
Yeah.
So you're not actually sitting there typing out on the dial.
No, yeah, there actually isn't a keypad on the dialer. If you wanted to to use it, the keypad, you have to type on the keyboard. And so
Oh,
the
gotcha.
leads, the phone numbers, everything about the client can get imported into the dialer, but really it's just the phone number and the name that you're after.
Yeah, yeah.
And so those auto sync into the dialer, and it puts the person at the very bottom of the list. And so you're always working your list top down. Um, yeah, so auto loads them into it. And then the way that the cadence works in our agency right now is we have said the same voicemail for 3 years for the first 4 phone calls, right? Hey, I've got your information here. I just need to get this started. Give me some information back. And then the next one is, hey, I was able to get, a pre-MVR quote ready. Looks like we're going to be able to save you some money. And then the next one is are we still able to, I had a spot saved for you. Are you still interested? And the last one's a hard breakup. And we've said that, for 3 years. And so we pre-wired those voicemails into the cadence in the CRM.
So the dialer's dialing.
Yep.
As soon as it connects to their voicemail because they didn't answer.
You hit hang up.
Gotcha. And you'll do a voicemail drop and they get it like as if somebody actually left it.
So we hit hang up and then we go down to the call outcomes and we see, you've got options, 20 options at this point. We'll say call attempted, which means that we weren't able to, get anybody on the phone, and we hit save. So hang up, call attempted, save. And then if auto dial is flipped on, it'll start calling the next person. So it's click, 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 boom. Click, click,
gotcha.
click, boom. Click, 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 boom. And in the background, every time you hit save, it's going to run the cadence check. And it's like, boom, are you on call 1? Are you on call 2? Are you on call 3? And if you're on call 1, you're going to get call 1's text and voicemail. So my producers don't have to send the text and the voicemail anymore. Or you're on call 2, you're going to get call 2's text and voicemail, and call 3. And so we didn't want to take the human element out of it. I think a lot of people think that automations are there to stop having the relationship. And that's exactly the opposite of what we want. I want the automations there so I can spend more time having conversations with, like, we are in the talking game.
Right. So the way that you do it is pretty much, I mean, I would guess it's pretty much designed for an agency or an agent who has a dedicated producer, somebody whose job is to sell. And that's what you're trying to do, is get them as much phone time or discussion time with a prospect as possible. Take away everything else.
Leaving the voicemail. You wouldn't want to send the emails. You don't want to send text messages. They just can't.
Right.
Yeah, so the goal is 3 hours of talk time a day, or 300 phone calls, or an average of 20 minutes per talk time per call. So, we don't live by many other activities in this office, but those. And once we implemented those and just stuck by them, everything else just solves itself. If you're on the phone for 3 hours a day, you're going to close something. And if you're not, then I'm going to coach you to say the right things to close something.
Yeah, yeah.
But if I can't get you to make a couple hundred phone calls, and if I can't make you, if I can't get you to talk to people and just chat with them, then you don't have a job in the insurance world in the first place.
Yeah, right. And so you had another thing that you had, a software piece that I love. So I love knowing or finding out all the differences between different software options, different product options, that kind of thing. Yeah. You had said that you use Acuity, right, as your calendar scheduling software. So there's a ton of them out there. But again, it seems like it comes down to most people either use Acuity or Calendly. And so why Acuity?
We started off with Calendly originally, and it's really clean. I love it. But when we opened up our agency, we had 6 employees, and we were going to run this massive calendar automation out the gate, which, by the way, we can get like 60% of our leads to opt into appointments. And it's like a 50% show rate. So we had this whole suite build out to send leads from Facebook into Acuity. We had to go with Acuity because it supports like a company.
Oh yeah.
And it allows you to have, multiple calendars synced up, and you can actually do like joint appointments. So like if you want to schedule time with me and Ricky, we can give you the Ricky and Austin joint calendar, which will look at both of our outlooks to see which availabilities we have.
Okay.
Right, because if people want to book with both of us, I need to make sure that, and so Acuity has that feature to it. It has the ability to make like multiple appointment types and give them each their individual like start and stop times. So for instance, let's say like I like to do my prospecting, or I like to do like my quoting with my clients only from 10 to noon because I always know at 1 to 2 I like to do my deliveries. And so in your calendars you can make sure that each of them, and Calendly might have this feature, but you can really segregate the times that they're available to even be selected in the initial. The problem with automations is like once you get into like a tech stack, sooner or later you have to commit to it.
Oh yeah.
And or you're going to be stuck like just looking at stuff forever and never going anywhere. And so we've committed to our tech stack, and that can cause some like backlash of like, I don't know what actually is viable with anything else. I don't have time to go sit and study everything.
Yeah. What so at this point, how much or how many times do you like, okay, let's talk about maybe Facebook leads. So, or, you know, whatever, not a referral. Okay. Anything other than a referral. Like, do you have a set amount of texts, of emails, of voicemail drops, that kind of stuff that you guys do like in general? So like, have you dialed it down? Is it like once you get to 4 in each of those, that's a dead lead and you put it on some other list and they get called every month or something?
We're actually building the data out right now to support the decision making that we have in the agency. So we have a rule that I want at least 6 calls on them, and then it's whatever automations of text we have in the back, but a minimum 6 calls.
Gotcha. I've heard that people, that I guess the sweet spot is 8
to 12
contacts. Yeah. And that's where people actually buy, is in that period of time. So like the first 7, you're just warming them up, right? And you're friendly enough, I guess, at that point. They trust you enough, they keep answering your call or texting you back, whatever that.
So we got 6 calls, and we'll probably do, you know, the combination of 6 emails and texts. Somewhere in there they get 3, and maybe a couple voicemails.
Yeah.
And so our leads will get about 12 touches before they actually hit the dead cycle in our office between the 3 different channels. That is our goal. And then depending on if we had any contact, we might follow up in 6 months if they gave us permission.
Interesting. And so right now, so you guys are in Oregon, right? Do you write, does your agency write in other states or just Oregon right now?
So we're on the border of Washington. So we got Washington. I think technically we're licensed in Idaho, but we're not doing anything there. We got our licenses in Texas. So watch out, Texas agents, we're coming. Again, we're not doing any business there right now. We need to focus on Portland. You know, this is a distraction from the PNC game. You know, this keeps me out of PNC when I do this every minute.
Yeah.
But we've got a couple W-2s in the agencies that they're moving. They don't move as quick as I do, but I wish they would move a little bit faster. But so yeah, we're in Oregon and Washington for the most part.
So when when it comes to automation, specifically for prospecting, what would you say is or are some of the things that people should really keep in mind? Like when you're building out campaigns, when you're looking at what to use, like what do people need to be thinking about? Because I mean, I've done it, right? I built out automation for, you know, new leads and prospects and that kind of thing. And oftentimes I feel like I'm just kind of like, oh, I should probably send them a text this, you know, the second day. And so, what would I want to say? I'll just say this, right? And like, there's no real, you know, science behind it. I know you're trying to get the data on that, but like, I mean, what should people be thinking about when they're building out their automation?
Well, so it depends on where you're at in the stage and where the lead is coming from and how warm it is to you. But so we try and actually approach some of the psychology of the lead in the stage specifically, like on new client acquisition from Facebook. So we know that the leads come in and they're exclusive, but where we realized quickly out of the gate when we tried to ask them for like a phone call was that we would get no's.
Okay.
Right. If you try for the Hail Mary right out the gate, you're getting a no. And so we realized really quickly that if we didn't have some banter or some easy layup questions before the big ask, we were never going to get to it. So that's why we start with the zip code, and then we start to get into some verification information. Like, is this John? You know, do you live at X? Is your spouse Mary? And what are they saying back?
Yeah.
Yes. So now we've got them to say yes 2 or 3 times to us. And then so we've realized that just doing things to get them to we want the motor moving to them texting as well. Right? We don't want them to think yet. We just want them to get their fingers going. Let's get those fingers going.
Yeah.
So easy questions, and then from there we can ask the big ask once you've got 2 or 3 down the channel.
So
hey, is now a good time for the call? Because we actually do want to talk to them. We really want to talk to our clients.
So, so people should be like, I guess the first thing you kind of mentioned on this earlier, but the first thing is you're really trying to get them to start corresponding with you. So like some sort of question that they have to answer, like if you're going with a life insurance lead and you're sending that person a text, it might be like, oh, or I forgot to ask if you're a smoker or something, something that you need, that they know you need. That's like an easy no-brainer. Yeah.
Without scaring them off in the same time too. And so if that's the question that's most important to you, ask it and see if they respond. If they don't respond, just like what Survey Gizmo does, and it gives you the data for millions of entries, you try an easier question. So in like Survey Gizmo, sometimes we'll put the phone number as like the first one out the gate because it's very important to us.
Hold on a second. You can't talk about Survey Gizmo without telling what it is. A lot of people don't know what it is. I know what it is, but a lot of people don't know what it is.
So Survey Gizmo is our form collection that we back up to our Facebook advertisements. So Facebook advertisement, they hit submit, it goes over to Survey Gizmo, and they fill out a series of questions. We like Survey Gizmo because of how clean and smooth it is. It's a little pricier, but it is really clean and it's really smooth as far as like answering and filling out the questions.
So it's a form, like Gravity Forms, or what other type of web-based form where someone says, yeah, I'm interested in this Facebook offer or whatever.
Forms.
Exactly. It takes them there.
Like all of those.
Ask them all the questions you guys want to ask. And then, so they filled that out. Now you're back.
Where do we leave off on? But yeah, that is Survey Gizmo. Yeah. And so whatever they're putting in the Survey Gizmo, where are we at here on this one? The lead source, Survey Gizmo. Where was I going with that? I think I lost my pace.
We were talking about trying to get somebody to actually start conversing with you. That first question I had said, life insurance, or you're a smoker.
Yeah, are you a smoker? Yeah, so like Survey Gizmo, we have to kind of employ the same tactics. We don't have the big data they have, but so you go with the question that you want answered the most. Yeah. And then if you get no feedback on it, then try something else. And so that's really what it is. And if there isn't science behind it, the science should be just do something. Right?
Have you? Oh, go ahead.
Because you'll get some type of response, or you'll get no response, which is telling.
Yeah. Have you tried using video at all? Have you tried like sending a video link or picture with a play button or whatever via text or email?
We use video currently in the advertisements, and we use video during the onboarding process. Ricky's got like a welcome to A&R video out there.
Yeah.
He has a really nice green screen and a real fancy camera, and he put all that together.
But not on the prospecting, not on the.
It's not currently in prospecting. No, we haven't. So we haven't found that our customer experience is so unique in prospecting. Is like, you're not going to come through our pipeline like we're buddies at the gym or something like that. You're going to come through our pipeline because we are grinding thousands of leads up, and then once we kind of get you in past the quoting stages where we start to kind of have a unique experience.
Yeah.
Maybe that's where we should probably think about putting some video in. We do video quotes, I guess.
Yeah.
So that counts.
Yeah, that does count.
That counts. It's a little, I don't know, maybe my mind was thinking someplace else. But we do video quotes.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Who do you use for that?
Currently using AE because it's built in. I'm going to start demoing Grant stuff here soon. I'm looking forward to checking out his video quote proposal system.
Neoteric, right?
Neoteric, yep.
Cool.
But we currently, since we're an AE, company, we've got their website, so we just use their built-in thing.
Nice.
But I dabble. You always got to try everything out a little bit, and then once you find what you like, then you have to pick and then stop dabbling.
Yeah. So speaking of Grant, down to innovation, you're heading out there right now, right?
In about 30 minutes, I think. Yeah.
Is there anyone there that you're really excited to listen to or hear from the stage?
I mean, besides Nick Ayers and Grant, I actually don't know the whole lineup. I think Jason Cass is going to be there. I'm excited to hear him talk. And then after that, I actually don't have an itinerary.
Oh, nice.
I'm packing a suit and I plan on being an insurance agent. I'm going to go and sit there and, stare at the stage the whole time.
You are not packing a suit. Are you bringing a suit?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Bow tie?
No bow tie.
Oh. Okay.
No bow tie. I don't know. To me, these things feel a little more formal than hanging out in the office, when no one comes in.
True. So, this is what I looked like last year. Nobody gave me flack for it. So.
Well, I'm starting to realize that everyone is going to be in a t-shirt. I'm going to be the only one in a suit, but whatever.
Hey, then you stand out, right?
Yeah, maybe that's a good thing for me.
Yeah. Well, anything else? You have anything you want to add about automation?
There's a huge community out there, the Automated Independent Agency group that's ran by Travis Gensler. There's some really wise people in that group, could shout out probably 50 of them, but that's a good group. So if you're looking to get like some, free just learning, I would totally check out that group. We obviously do paid support if you're looking for some done for you stuff, but if the free
so how can people find you?
They can go to our website or our Facebook page currently, Conversion Kings. I think that's probably all you have to search for on Facebook, and it would pop up our page. Cool. We do have a paid members group, and I think we have a website. I just think it's under construction. I need Chris Langgill to finish it up for me a bit more.
So you have a paid members group. So meaning that people who are part of, who utilize you guys for what you do, you have a separate Facebook group for those people?
We do, yeah. And so they can all kind of collaborate on some of our builds together in a kind of an informal fashion. They can help each other kind of troubleshoot whatever the things they're working on.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, and they can find you just searching Austin Moorhead.
Yeah, that's easy. Honestly, and I do 90% of my business through Facebook until we've kind of closed my deals, and it moves to Outlook at that point. But you can get so much done through Facebook these days.
Oh, dude. Yeah. Facebook's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, have a great time in Vegas. Yeah. Thank you for your time. Really appreciate it. Yeah, that's pretty much all we got. So,
too easy.
Next week, I literally like a minute before we started this, I feel like this next one's a boring topic, but it's
automation
something that I think automation is exciting and fun.
Okay.
But the next week I have Chris Green is going to be talking about flood insurance.
Oh,
so he calls himself the flood insurance guru. I think that's his Facebook page name. And I think he's licensed in all 50 states. And man, that guy knows his flood stuff. So
he actually knows automations too. He's another person that has been around the block when it comes to automations.
He has. Yeah. But I mean, we're specifically talking about flood, and I'm like, I hate flood. I hate dealing with flood. And there's so much that I'm like, I don't even want to keep that information in my brain because I don't want it in there. Like I hate it. I hate dealing with flood. But I think that there's probably a lot of insurance agents who feel that way because we deal with it so infrequent unless you live in a flood zone or like on a coastal, city or something.
Yeah, I think I've had one or two requests in the last 3 years, and so I just kick them down the road. I don't want to deal with that. I have to go get like a special certification to keep it up to date. Like, no.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm talking to Chris next week.
Nice.
Hopefully it'll be good content, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'll be here for sure. Well, thank you very much for having me on your show, Josh.
Thanks, Austin.
Okay.
Talk to you later, man.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us and making it all the way through. We want to help you get to where you want to be. We want you to have the life you desire. So if you are looking to get into the insurance industry, or maybe you're a captive agent looking to move over to the independent agency side, reach out to us. Give us a call. You can find more information on our website at www.bluelioninsurancepartners.com. Thanks.